Hello Year 5, welcome to your last learning journey for this half term. So as you've already heard today, our learning journey question for this week is how have I faced the challenge of home learning? Now hopefully these short activities every day this week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, will help you to prepare for meeting me on Friday, because we will be trying to answer this question in a short meeting together, exploring what's gone really well, celebrating that, thinking about what you found difficult, and it's not about what everybody else has found difficult. This is really personal to you, so it's your chance to tell me what you've really struggled with, and think about how you've overcome those problems, and also thinking about what we could do slightly differently after half term. So what I'd like you to do is to make sure you've got your learning journal in front of you and all of the stationery, so the pens and pencils, rulers and so on that you normally use. Now if you haven't come to school to collect your learning journal, please try and do that this week, because we're going to try and use them much more this week and after half term. So you might be using your English book instead. Now I'm going to show you how I want you to set your page up, and hopefully it should be really similar to how Miss Dyer asked you to do it last week. So you are going to, in the top left hand corner, write today's date. Now if you've got your red pen at home and your ruler, please underline it like we would in school. If you don't have that, then just underline it in pencil. Okay, and then you need to create your thinking column on your right hand side of your page. Now I would say that you probably need to have space to write maybe 4 or 5 words going across here. It doesn't need to take up very much room, but again you should have done this with Miss Dyer before. So this is where we're going to capture some of our thoughts at the end of this session. So please can you make sure you spell column correctly? I don't think I've seen it spelled correctly very often, so copy my spellings. What I'd like you to do now is to pause the video and then press play once you have got your page set up like I have in front of me. Okay, so you should now have your date underlined, your thinking column, all your lines should be drawn with a ruler, which is brilliant. So the first thing we do at school normally is we really look at the question. So what I'd like you to do is I would like you to write the question, but listen to these instructions. Write it in writing that is a little bit bigger than you normally would, because I want it to stand out. Now write it with either the pen or the pencil that you're using to write with today, so what you've written the date in and so on. Most of you I think are using a pencil, but we're going to annotate it, so we're going to underline some of the words and then explain them a little bit more closely. So you need to have space above, to the side and below it. Okay, so again if you could pause the video. Okay, so hopefully you've paused the video and you have now got in front of you a kind of sort of something that looks like what I've got in front of me, I suppose. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about this question. Now I would say that none of these words are really unusual words, however we need to think about them really carefully. So we can't just think about, oh yeah, what's been easy, what's been hard, job done. We need to think about what each of these words really mean, and the more we understand them, the easier the question will be to answer. So what I'm going to do is show you what I have done. So I have thought, the first one that I thought about, if I can get my board to work properly, the first word that I thought about is faced. Okay, because I want to think about what that actually means. So you can, now hopefully at home you have a different colour pen. So just like we did with the ancient Greek work, we would use our normal writing pen and then we would use a different coloured pen for some of the writing or the lines to make it stand out. So mine is blue. Now if you don't have that, okay, then please don't worry. Maybe you've got a purple pen or you've got a sort of a felt tip pen you can write with. If all else fails, just use your normal writing pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to underline the word faced, and I'm going to underline it in red because I have the ability to do that. So just like I've underlined the date and the title of thinking column there, if you can underline it in red. And then the word faced is all about how you've met the challenge, or how you've coped with the challenge, or how you've overcome the challenge. And I think it's really important that we think about it in those ways. So can you now please do the same that I have done, which is to underline the word faced, hopefully in red pen if you've got one. Okay, but again, make the choice with what you've got in front of you. And then I've drawn an arrow, sort of 3 arrows coming away from it. Look at the space that I'm using. I'm not going to use all this space over here, because actually the next word I'm going to look at is challenge. So I want to have some space here to write about challenge. Okay, so yeah, draw an arrow coming from faced to met, then to coped with, then to overcome. And if you can fit coped with on one line, that's great. But again, each time, please make sure you're copying my spellings correctly. Now, I'm going to carry on. So if you would like some more time to do this, please could you pause the video and then press play once you're ready. Okay, so the next word I said I was going to look at is overcome. Sorry, not overcome. I'm reading that one. Is challenge. Okay, so I'm going to underline the word challenge again, and I'm going to think about what actually does challenge mean. So once you've underlined it, I've thought about this already, so I'm going to add that there. So I'd like you to do the same that I have done. So get your pens and pencils ready, and then draw 3 arrows coming away from challenge. And a challenge can be a test, you can see it as a trial or a difficulty. Okay, so these are all synonyms for challenge, so words that have similar meanings. But again, I think thinking about this question, we really need to think about what does it really mean, that word challenge, because it can cover lots of different things. So again, please press pause on the video and then press play once you have got a page that looks like mine. Okay, right, the last thing we're going to do for this part is we're going to underline the word home, or the words, sorry, home learning. Now, these words are not difficult to understand. However, if somebody found your book in 20 years' time, they may have heard, well, they probably would have heard of coronavirus or COVID-19, but they may not understand what home learning means. So what I have done is done this. Now it says different arrangements for learning during COVID-19. Now very few of you are in school, so in our class I think there's about 4 or 5 people that are coming into school, so most of you are at home. But even if you are coming into school, it is really, really different. You're in different rooms, sometimes working with different adults, the work that you're doing is set differently, you're having to use the computer much more, so everybody's working really differently. So please can you again make sure your page looks like mine. So if you press pause, then press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, so hopefully your page looks like mine. So we've really unpicked this question. We're really clear about this week is spending time thinking about how you have coped with these challenges, so these tests, these difficulties, okay, during a really tricky time that's obviously all linked to learning at home or learning very differently in school because of COVID-19. Okay, so now what I have done on the next page is I have created some more space underneath. So this looks really, really small, okay, and I've done that so that I've got some room underneath to show you what I want you to do next. So you don't have to minimize yours, that wouldn't be possible, but it's just trying to show you what is on each page. So today's focus is all about thinking about what you are really proud of in terms of what you've achieved with home learning. So since we've come back to school in January, you have completed activities every single day, different pieces of learning that has really challenged you, and it has been challenging for lots of different reasons. But today's focus is all about what are my proudest achievements during lockdown so far. So don't do anything for the minute. So what we need to think about is all the different things that you have done. Lots of it is on Dojo, lots of it is in your books, but also a lot of it will be in your memory, okay? So what I would like you to do, we're going to create a mind map. Now yours is going to look neater than mine because I've tried to draw this bubble around it. It hasn't really worked very well. However, I'm just doing it to show you what I want you to do. So underneath what you've done in your book already, you are going to write this, okay, in the middle of your page. Okay, so thinking between this line and that line, roughly in the middle, and then you're going to use your colour pen if you've got one to create a bubble around it. And we are going to create a mind map. Now the important thing before you do anything, so don't start, is that we are going to write things obviously above, below, to the side of it, but we are going to need quite a lot of space. So depending on how much space this part is taken up on your page, you are going to need to imagine, for example, that we are going to write something here, right? We can write something in this space here, and then we might write things coming off it as well. So you need to think about that as to where you're going to write this sentence here, this question. Okay, so you need to make sure you've got enough space coming above it, okay, so that, as I said, that there's room to draw an arrow, write something, and then to write something else coming off here. So don't write it really close to that bit there. Okay, if you could press pause now and then play once you're ready. Okay. So now what I would like you to do, all right, is to take the time to go and to look onto Dojo, look in your books, and just remind yourself of all of the things that you have done since, I think it was the 5th of January was the first day of home learning. So this is where you're just going to press pause on this video in a moment, and you're just going to remind yourself, you're going to look at your portfolio and all of the different things that you have completed. I want you to also, like I said, look in your books, so in the workbooks that you've been completing your work, and just really remind yourself and start to think, which pieces of work are you most proud of? So it's important, as I said, to actually look at them. Don't just try and sit there and come up with a few things. Remind yourself by looking back on Dojo, looking in your books, and choose 2 or 3 different things that you're really proud of. It might be a particular subject, so it might be you're really proud of arithmetic just as a whole. Okay, it might be one particular piece of writing that you did. Or it might be, I don't know, a spelling test where you got 10 out of 10. It might be a particular maths activity where you really tried your best. Okay, because the word proud, okay, it isn't about show me something or talk about something that you've got completely right. Okay, it's when you look at it and actually you get that feeling inside of, do you know what, I'm really proud of that. I'd like to tell somebody a bit more about that, because this will be one of the things that we will talk about on Friday. So, as I said, pause this video, go away and look at Dojo, look at your books, and then write, I would say, at least 2 or 3 things coming off your mind map. So I would have one coming here, maybe one there, and then maybe one coming off here. The bits down the bottom we're going to add in together in a moment. So like I said, it might be one particular piece of work, it might be a particular subject, it could be something from your memory that you're particularly proud of that has happened during lockdown linked to your learning. So come back and press play once you've done that. Okay, so hopefully yours looks a little bit like this. So I've got rid of the bit around it just so that I've got a bit more space. So one of the things that you might be proud of is Miss Hike's reading. Okay, so you've got that, and it might be the character that I created during last week's learning journey. So whatever you've chosen, okay, is absolutely fine. What I want you to think about now is not just necessarily about particular subjects or particular pieces of work. I want you to think about the skills that you have developed, okay, so the skills that you have got better at during this time. Okay, so an example I'm going to put down here is determination. Now I have written it in blue, which is not right because I need to stick to what I've been doing. I'm drawing my lines in my colour and I'm writing. There we go. All right, so I have put determination there because I think that is one of the skills that practically everybody has got better at. Okay, so they have got better at being determined. This time in our lives, we've had to be like that. We haven't been able to just give up when something has been tricky, because actually loads of things have been tricky. Okay, so we've got determination. The next one that I'm going to do is about being organised. Okay, so organisational skills. Okay, so what I want you to do now is to think about, rather than just particular pieces of work, think about some of those characteristics as a person that you have had to really develop. So you can copy mine if you agree with them. So you might have perseverance, okay, which can be really similar to determination. Resilience, okay, that ability, again, it's closely linked to it's closely linked to determination and perseverance, but resilience is slightly different because it's all about not letting things that are hard get to you, just that keep on going, and not letting it affect how positive you can be. Okay, so think about those skills, and as I said, write them, one coming off this way and one coming off that way. Okay, so if you pause now and then come back once you've done that. Right, so the next thing we're going to do, and again, you can see I've made it a little bit smaller. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is to think a little bit more deeply. You're in year 5 now, so it isn't just about saying, okay, I'm proud of this and I'm proud of that. Okay, I've developed these skills and I'm really proud of that. Okay, so it's now thinking about why are you proud of those things particularly? Because when I meet with you on Friday, I'm going to expect you to justify why you've chosen the things that you have. So you need to think about that now. Now, the easiest way to do that, okay, is to come up with some examples. So if you're looking at my example here, so what are my proudest achievements during lockdown so far? My organisational skills. So you need to think about why you're proud of those things. So the things I've come up with is I created a tidy space in my bedroom where I have everything I need to complete my learning. So being organised is all about having everything you need in the right place, not wasting time trying to find things, not allowing yourself to get distracted because you're going to search for that perfect pen, or just go and have a chat with somebody downstairs while you try to get something. The other thing that I thought about, that I've spoken to some people about, is about checking Dojo straight away to see what I need to do each day. Okay, so it's about, and I would have said actually one of the amazing things you've all become better at is working independently. So if you didn't come up with 2 skills that you've developed, maybe independent learning or working independently or just being independent is something that you could put in, or you might even want to add it on and have sort of another thing to talk about. Okay, so this is what you should be doing now. So what I'd like you to do in a moment is to go and to think about each area, okay, that you've created of things that you're proud of, draw some arrows coming away from it and justify those choices a bit more. Give me a little bit more detail. Tell me, what about Miss Hike's reading are you really proud of? So it might be the book is not a book that you'd ever choose to read because it's not in a genre that you enjoy, okay, but you've persevered and you actually have found out that you've really enjoyed it. Or it might be you're particularly proud because you found it quite tricky and that you didn't give up. Even though some of the bits you didn't understand or so on. So use those arrows. We've done this in school before. Explain to me, justify why you're proud of those things. Okay, so just pause and then come back once you've done that. Right, hopefully you now have a much more detailed mind map than I have. So you've got some arrows coming off from here and so on from there. I can't wait to see what you send me, to see what it looks like in your books. Probably much more organised and neater than mine looks. Okay, so the last little challenge for this, and then we'll just look at the thinking column because then we'll be done. Okay, the last little challenge is to think about deepening that thinking just a little bit more. Okay, so why was going on to Dojo straight away to see what I need to do a really good thing to do? Why are you particularly proud of that? Okay, so we're going to think about by going on to Dojo, what did you then do? So I made a list that I could tick off to show. Let me just get rid of that there. To show that I had completed everything that I needed to. Just bear with me a minute because it's all disappeared off because it's too big. Right, let's do that. I needed 2. So what I need to do is to read that back just like you would in your own books. To make sure you haven't missed anything off. So I made a list that I could tick off to show that I had completed everything that I needed to. So again, you are just explaining a little bit more why you're proud of that. So you checked Dojo, so that was a really organised thing to do. Okay, and then you could have checked Dojo and then just ignored what was on there or just forgotten it, but actually you took it a step further and you made a list, okay, of the things that you needed to do. So can you choose a couple of things, okay, so a couple of things in your mind map to just add another arrow to and explain it a little bit more? Because again, you'll find with the activity tomorrow will be much easier if you do this, but also on Friday you'll be able to speak much more confidently because you've thought about it. I wouldn't have to ask you lots of questions to get you to think a bit more deeply. You would already have done that. Okay, so you can do it for all of them if you want to, all right, but at the very least just choose maybe 2. So choose 2 of the things. So you've got your 4, maybe 5, some of you, your original ideas. Then you've got some arrows coming away to explain why you're proud of those things, and then just choosing 2 or 3 or more if you want to. Take it a little bit further. What did that help you to do? Why was it a good thing? Why were you proud of it? Okay, because actually if you've made this amazing list of things you need to do, then I don't think there's much more you could do with your learning, because then you've made sure that you've kind of ticked everything off, and it shows just that independent sort of choice of being as organised as you possibly can and doing absolutely your best every day. Okay, so again, press pause go away and do that. If you're not quite sure, rewind the video, okay, and listen to what I've said again. Right, so hopefully you've got now this spectacular mind map, all right, that's shown lots of thinking, lots of things to be proud of. So the last thing we're going to do now, okay, this is what yours should look like, but yours will be much more detailed. Okay, so lots more arrows. As I said, I can't wait to see what you've come up with in your book. So once you've done this, take a photograph and send it to me. So the last thing is this thinking column. Okay, and this this term is all about being a healthy thinker. Okay, so thinking about deep thinking. All right, asking yourself questions that challenge your answers. So rather than going yes or no, or yeah, I like that, or I don't like that, trying to think a little bit more deeply. Okay, so this question that I would like you to write, okay, is why do we seem to be more proud of things that have been harder for us to achieve? So if you want to use your lovely coloured pen to write that, you can do, and then we'll write the answer to that in normal pencil or your black pens, whatever you're using. So can you please copy this into your thinking column? Okay, so if you press pause and then once you've done it, then come back to it. Okay, so you now need to switch back to your normal writing pen. Okay, I have written this here, so this is like a bigger thinking column, but you will just write this underneath your question. So if I take you back, what we're going to write now is going to come underneath here. Okay, so why do we seem to be more proud of things that have been harder for us to achieve? And I think that's really true. I think things that are easy, we just take for granted a little bit. They just happen, we're used to them happening, and we don't really think about them very much. However, things that we've had to work hard for are much more memorable. They stay in our minds much more. We remember what we had to do to achieve them. We've probably involved other people. So it might be a friend's helped you, or a family member, or a teacher has helped you to achieve this thing. Or it might be that you've had to do some really hard independent thinking or work. So I think it is really true to say that when you work hard to achieve something, you almost feel extra specially proud of it. So I'd like you to answer that question. I'd like you to write an answer to that question. As usual, I've written something for those people who have got a little bit stuck, or it might be that you look at what I've written and it inspires you to write something else. I would really love it if you used your own words, okay? And I'd really love it actually if you had a go at it now and press pause on the video before you look at what I've written, to have a go at it on your own first, because then you can always edit it or add something to your own answer. But again, it's a really big challenge to just try and answer this on your own. So please, if you can, press pause. Okay, so for those people who did have a go at answering this question before they've seen the end of this video, thank you very, very much. Some of you will have found this quite tricky because it's easy to talk about, but it's hard to put it into words. Now, I'm warning you, I've written quite a lot, so I don't expect you to write this much at all, but you might like a part that I've written, and you may be able to write it in your own words, or it might make you think of something else. So what I've written is, when something is easy, you don't really need to work hard to achieve it. However, we can be really proud of working hard, so when you have done that, it often means more. I think you also remember things more when you have spent more time achieving them, because you remember the journey of getting there. Now, I wrote that really quickly on purpose because what I need to do now is to edit it. So what I hope you're doing is when you're writing in your books, that you're writing something down, but then you're looking back at it and you're trying to improve it and notice if you've maybe used the word, like I'm looking at the fact that I've used the word more loads of times. So I'm going to very quickly edit this. So when something is easy, you don't really need to work hard to achieve it. However, we can be really proud of work of, I'm going to say, however, we should be really proud of working hard. So let's just put that down there. We should be really proud of working hard. So when you have done that, so I now need to put in my commas. So when you have done that, okay, so that's my embedded clause. So we should be really proud of working hard. So it often means more. Yeah, that makes sense. So when you've done that, often means more. I think you also remember things. I think, right, I'm going to say, I think it is more memorable when you have spent more. Okay, so I think it is more memorable when you have spent more time achieving something something because you remember the journey of getting there. I'm going to say you go on a journey to get there. Right, let's see what it sounds like. So when something is easy, you don't really need to work hard to achieve it. That's fine. However, we should be really proud of working hard. So when you've done that, it often means more. I think it is more memorable when you have spent time, I don't need more again, when you've spent time achieving something because you go on a journey to get there. Okay, so that is my answer to that question. And as I said, I'll be really interested to see what you write. So good luck. If there's anything that you've kind of not really understood, go back and listen to the video and watch the video again, or send me a message on Dojo. So that's the first day of learning journey done. And hopefully you've got that really proud feeling because you've spent time looking at your work. And I know I'm incredibly proud of what you've achieved, and I can't wait to talk to you about it on Friday, but you need to feel that for yourself. So yeah, any problems, then just let me know, and then be ready for the next step tomorrow. Okay, bye.